Hey everyone, it's Dee from CatalystEnergies. Thanks you for joining me. I'm so grateful that you're here. This is your daily catalyst for January 3rd, 2020. Our sun today is, as of 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, is at 12 degrees 46 minutes of Capricorn, and the moon is continuing her transit in the latter half of Aries today. As of 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, the moon is going to be at 18 degrees and 20 minutes of Aries. Yesterday she made all these squares to this Capricorn energy, Jupiter, the South Node, Mercury, and finishing the day with a first quarter square to the Sun. Rather than putting a damper on our internal fire that's being represented by a moon in Aries, the squares were more likely giving us something to work with when it comes to activating something. The aspects that are less than harmonious are usually the moments of accelerated growth. So if we find ourselves embracing those moments of tension, when energies appear to be moving at different trajectories, which is what a square is, you have one energy moving this way and then creating a 90-degree angle here. This is the tension of the square here. And if we are leaning into that as opposed to resisting it, we can synthesize those moments into a totally new experience. And that is the essence of alchemy and its archetype, Sagittarius. And it's fitting that we would talk about Sagittarius, because in the live that I did on Facebook last night, a live reading for the 2020 year ahead, Sagittarius was, and the Sagittarius card in the tarot, the art card or temperance, was the central theme of the reading, the energy that is present right now. And so it's fitting that we're talking about Sagittarius in that regard, but also because Mars moves into Sagittarius today. You can see here it's at 0 degrees Sagittarius. Mars prefers to be ambitious and driven and action-oriented, but even this energy can be redirected if we are intentional about it. Mars spent a lot of time in Scorpio, courageously facing the shit coming to the surface. A lot of stuff we didn't want to look at, I'm sure. Nobody really wants to look at what Scorpio holds for us unless you have some sort of, draw towards the darkness. The Sabian symbol for the first degree of Sagittarius is a grand army of the Republic campfire. There's a moment of pause and camaraderie as we sit around the fire and reminisce about our battles, our courageous moments, and most importantly, the bonds we've created with each other. There's a lot of focus in Scorpio on the death aspect and the shadow and the occult and the things that are hidden. But the real meat of Scorpio is about the intensity that comes along with intimacy and trust. It's about power, but it's about the power dynamic that is inherent in a relationship. And so when we're talking about Scorpio, we're getting to the bottom of things and we're understanding power and ambition, but we're really understanding the responsibility of vulnerability in a relationship and shared resources. And so this imagery of sitting around the campfire and reminiscing is really pointing towards a recognition of the bonds that we have built as a result of our, maybe our collective move through Scorpio, facing the darkness together. It's the power that's inherent in any intimate relationship, and that is what we have learned about our time with Scorpio. Sometimes we have to let the self die in order to be reborn into a different version that is in a dance with someone else. We let go of just our needs, which is a very Aries thing, and we recognize the needs of the we, and sometimes those things do not necessarily mesh together, and in fact we have to let some aspect of our personal ego die off in order to successfully integrate into this energy of intimacy and trust in a relationship. Real responsibility comes from the space in between the us and the them, and it's the power within the space that is the real catalyst for transmutation and alchemy. The alchemist, like I said, in the reading, was the center of the energy. And so as Mars is moving ahead now into this sign, we're going to start feeling a real drive and a push towards this synthesizing alchemy, transmutation, energy, after spending all this time like really getting to the root of what power is and what is in our subconscious. We will get a chance to reassess the bonds we have developed from a personal position, because the moon is going to have a minor tense aspect with Mars. And it's not even, I don't even have it set up on this chart to show it to you, but there'll be, it's called a sesquisquare. It's a 135-degree angle, and it's a square, but it's not something that we're actually consciously aware of. Perhaps there's a challenge to our own ambitions here. Mars actually rules Aries, so the moon may recognize a part of herself in the Mars placement right now. And this could also be a square to a past life aspect, bringing up something we don't even understand in regards to this current life. Wherever it's coming from, there's likely to be some sort of tension between what we want as individuals and the drive towards cooperation and trust and synthesis between two opposing points. That is the essence of relationship. Mercury lines up with the nodes today as well. You can see it right in here. The actual degree point is going to be lining up, and they're so giving us messages about what it is we need to actually release. You know, the South Node is the collective point of release because we've mastered this energy, and it's time to focus on its polarity point in order to evolve. There's so much weirdness about this Capricorn energy because of the incredible lineup here, but also with the South Node here too. There's so much energy sitting here, but we also have the South Node of the moon directing us in, you know, what it is we need to let go of. And so there's such a density of this responsibility and long-term planning energy here and material security, but also this idea that we ultimately need to let go of that and focus on the security within. There's so much drive for long-term and structure and material security, and it's in our faces every single day. So Mercury conjunct the South Node, or Ketu, in Vedic astrology can be great for obvious insight into the point of letting go. And letting go of this type of material security can be difficult because we may not feel very solid or secure if all we know is material security. So the balance point with the opposition to Rahu, or the North Node in Cancer, is also where we could be gaining insider messages. It's about balance, this balance point, the fulcrum of balance between these two opposing forces. The strong energy in Capricorn is probably going to keep pulling us back to the serious long-term thoughts and discussions and what it means to be secure, and bringing us back to, well, this is, you know, this is what we need for material security. Yet there's something to be gained and learned by examining the balance point between internal and external security. The framework for the Cancer energy may not necessarily be in place. So Mercury gives us a chance to put our minds to work conceptualizing it, because there's so much energy here in Capricorn, and this lone North Node on, I mean, you can see there's nothing on this side of the chart. And, you know, the only things that come close are Uranus and Taurus. And so the North Node is really just hanging out by herself down here in Cancer. And so Mercury opposed it. There is a tension, but it also allows us to, it gives us something to focus on, and a focal point for conceptualization. So next we have Venus in Aquarius still. Still allowing us to harmonize with the idea of freedom and rebellion from the status quo, and this developing this cosmic consciousness in a way that's harmonious and very much real in our lives. The Sabian symbol for this degree point today is particularly striking to me in terms of what we are learning about ourselves. The symbol is a man unmasked. The Aries moon is sextile, as you can see here with this blue line, with her today, and we may be getting a really very real look at ourselves, at the people and the projects and the aspects of our material life, like the mask may be falling away. This could be very stimulating when it comes to initiating a change for ourselves, right? A sextile is a harmonious aspect that needs activation or some sort of attention paid to it. So it's not on its own the most balanced, but it can be if we utilize these things and help them work together. We're really in a position to take stock of what the hell is really going on for us and decide if it's in our best interest or highest good, if it harmonizes with us, if it's what feels good to us. This mask falling away, I just think is so pertinent right now, especially with Aquarius as being really the vision, the highest vision. And with it being in Venus, it really comes back to what is it in our lives that allows us to feel connected to the collective as a whole. And we can really activate that with this drive inside of us to, you know, to go after what we want and to feel good about who we are. It's will be really worth it to harness these dynamics openly and consciously, because our moon comes around then to square the Saturn and Pluto energy at the end of the day. And these two they're getting closer together, and the intensity of their meeting continues to build. It's very possible that what we want or think we want for ourselves in this moment will be challenged very strongly by the inevitable watershed moment of this conjunction. The slow burn of Pluto is finally going to be solidified into a point of no return, and it will be very real. And we might be starting to feel the first like clash really with this moon in Aries, with this like drive inside of us to really just stand our ground and be who we are. And that square to this energy could very well be challenging that. Coming into the weekend, the moon is going to move into Taurus, conjuncting Uranus here, and it's going to allow us to feel way more grounded into all of this. We'll be trining all of this Capricorn energy as opposed to squaring it. And so for now, my advice is to utilize the moon energy much like a rocket, knowing that it's just a temporary ignition meant to give you the energy to get you out of orbit. It's not a long-term solution, and there's always the potential for it to blow up if you're not doing the things you need to do, the checks and balances, and to make sure that you're not putting all of your fuel into this this explosion, because that's what it could be, is an explosion. But again, the squares to Capricorn, I think, are going to keep this tempered just a little bit so that we can have perspective as opposed to just like launching without any trajectory or any plan. Because the moon in Aries could certainly be that like passionate flaring of emotions. And sometimes that's necessary, but in this situation, we're going to be blocked every step of the way by Capricorn, pulling us back into reality of like, wow, this is actually what's going on. It doesn't really matter how you feel about it in this moment. So, but I would look to this moon sextile Venus today to get a sense on how we can best harness, you know, what we're coming to understand about ourselves and our relationships and all of the things that we're involved in our material world. So I actually pulled some cards just before I came on here, and I'm going to come back to the full screen, and I haven't looked at them yet. So I'm just gonna, I've already pulled them, and I'm going to be looking at them for the first time along with you, and we can just talk about them real quick. So I did one card from the Thoth Tarot. So we have the Ace of Wands, which is reversed. So I think this is mostly to keep us honest about the moon in Aries, and that there is a lot of potential for creation and the spark of creation and passion, but to be very mindful. You can see all the flames are kind of like grounded down. They're at the bottom of the card. And so this is the Capricorn energy, I think, really challenging this to be in its full expression. So depending on where these things are in your chart, that might actually be helpful to keep you from, you know, blowing up, or it might be oppressive in some ways of your fire. So it really depends. But I think that there is a lot of potential here, like I said, for a seed point and the beginning of something new, but it's not quite fully expressed. And so the animal message that I got to help us with that, this is the snow leopard. Take some time out of your usual life and spend it in solitude. So cats in the wild, for the most part, are solitary creatures. They don't live in packs. They hunt alone. They have like their time, you know, a mother will have her cubs and raise them, but they're not like canines. They don't live in packs. And so sometimes we have to step away in order to really get a clear sense of what it is that is important to us and who we really are. And it's really easy, especially now with the so much accessibility of social media and the internet, to be bombarded with messages from others and from other people and other ideas. And it could really start to, I think it could really start to influence the perceptual filter that we have. And we find ourselves maybe like kind of parroting what other people are saying because it sounds good, rather than taking the time to be alone and to not take in so much information and allow our own minds to kind of settle into who we are, what we value, and what we want. And so I think the snow leopard for today is really giving us the message that it's okay to take some time away and into solitude. An Aries moon is so easily flared, and tempers and emotions so easily flared. And that's, you know, one way that you could possibly, I wouldn't say bypass it, but temper that if that's something that you're already prone to doing or acting out, is like take some time away and really get clear with yourself. So that's your daily catalyst for the 3rd of January 2020. If you'd like to reach out to me at all the information is in the description box below this video, social media and other contact information. If you're interested in a reading, all of that information is on my Facebook page and you can reach out to me. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to everybody who subscribed to my channel, and I will see you on the next video. Please take care of yourselves and each other. Bye.